For the uninitiated, Anthony Fantano is bar none the internet's busiest music nerd, and he has great teeth, but seemingly part of his job description as a music critic and reviewer is being hated. But why do people hate him? What triggers such a visceral reaction in music fans when they hear he's not a fan of their favorite album? As a longtime fan and student of his comments section, I think I have the answer. So without further ado, let's dive into why people hate Anthony Fantano.
Patrick Bateman pop, a 22-track torture chamber, a numb, lackadaisical buzz, the dustiest antique store on Main Street. I feel like my head is in the goddamn cab when I listen to this thing. I kind of want to just like hook a car battery up to my nuts. Okay, Anthony, let's do this. Tano here.
So on a more meta level, reviewing art in a critical way will always draw criticism itself. A published opinion will always meet public disagreement. It's been that way since the beginning of time. And with art, that disagreement is deeply rooted in emotion because, as corny as it sounds, you can't really untether emotion from art. But where Anthony and every other music critic and reviewer draw pure hatred from their audience is when they do one thing. They give a record a numerical score. There are a few inherent flaws with a numerical score. For starters, they have the potential to age super poorly. Every reviewer is a human being, and human beings change all the time. I would be willing to bet money that Anthony doesn't still stand by every single number score he's given over the past 10 plus years. Secondly, a score is rooted heavily in the context of what's happening in music at the time, and how that record sits in that landscape. That being said, scores open up the doors for some wild comparisons. Take this one for instance. The score that Anthony still gets the most shit for to this day is the 6 that he gave Kanye's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Nearly 7 years later, he gives Lil Pump's self-titled record a 7. Two totally different albums enjoyed on a nearly similar level at two totally different times. All Anthony's gripes with each project thoughtfully explained, and what some people take away is, oh, you think Lil Pump is better than Kanye. Scores actually do the opposite of what Anthony and every other reviewer are trying to do in the first place. Anthony's probably the best at what he does in terms of articulating his thoughts on music. He's incredibly well spoken and clear, but all that gets thrown out the window as soon as people know that there's a score they can skip to. I realize this is a viewer problem and there will always be the type of person who just goes right to the score and gets angry. But the score sets a tone and automatically biases how people are going to perceive the words in your review before they even leave your mouth if the score is there for them to look at. If there was a simpler system, like maybe I wouldn't recommend, I was kind of indifferent, or I would recommend. Think about it, Anthony goes through his whole review as normal, talking about like
the glitchy, epic, over-the-top production, the passionate rapping.
And then he tells you at the end, hey, this is worth your time or it's not. I think it would be much more difficult to be upset with that. Nobody would be making these dumb artist comparisons, no context would be lost over the years, or at least not as much, and nobody would skip to the score part because it would just be a listen or don't listen system. And on a bigger level, I don't really know if art should be numerically scored. Don't get me wrong, art discussion is super valuable and I obviously love having it. And I get that a score is just an easy way to express a larger opinion in a matter of seconds. And I also get that a lot of people are drawn into the video in the first place because of the score. But when you think about it, when you're talking to a friend about a movie, you're not like, this movie was a 7, go see it. No, you're like, dude, this scene where this and that happened was so great. The script is kind of trash, but the cinematography is incredible, and I know you would really love it. That doesn't take too much longer than saying a number, and it's a lot more conversational. Look, at the end of the day, I love Anthony, and I'm not personally enraged by any of the number scores he gives, but there's a decent amount of people who are. You can't really trust that every single person on the internet is a rational, level-headed individual who understands that these reviews are just opinion pieces and that the scores don't have to rule my life or yours. But I personally can't say that I believe that art and numbers are really meant to be tied together in a critical context, and I think it's that inherent disconnect that really gives people trouble digesting reviews like these. That's been it. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think below. It's a pretty weird topic, but I want to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you in the next one.